have got a very special guest in the studio this morning. Ifwa Sutherland, CEO of Terra Alta, is in the studios. Hi, Ifwa. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks
How are we
for
doing?
having me. I'm doing good this morning. Thanks.
You woke up on the right side of bed today, I can tell.
Yeah, I think so.
And you've had breakfast.
I have not yet had breakfast.
Okay.
So we'll work on that after this.
1 out of 2 is not too bad. But you're looking very healthy this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for deciding to join. Am I?
Yes, you are. I
keep
like the
it
blue on
coming.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, the name Ifwa Sutherland, it's pretty iconic.
Yes.
Yes. The connection is there?
It is there.
Oh, the Ifwa Sutherland.
That's my paternal grandmother. So,
Very exciting. Must be very interesting being named after her, and I'm sure it's something that people ask you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Ifwa Sutherland, is it the Ifwa
Yes,
Sutherland?
it is.
Okay, well, now you know. For those of you listening, it is the Ifwa Sutherland. We're also, of course, streaming on our platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Good morning, hello. If you've joined us on this segment of Womanpreneur. So let's get stuck straight into it. Terra Alta, what is it that you do? Tell us more.
So I actually do, so I have a space called Terra Alta that has been in existence for about 8 years now.
Okay.
But I've been an artist. I studied theater, I studied contemporary performance, which is like adding in interactive multimedia stuff into performance. And I wasn't really finding space for like rehearsal, for artist development when I came back to Ghana because I studied abroad. And so that was kind of the birth of Terra Alta. I was like trying to make space for artists who need to spend some time with an idea, spend some time actually like working on the idea before you start making it. Because this idea of development in Ghana is a bit difficult because funding is not really available.
Right.
And sometimes you have to kind of jump into a project right when you are doing the project, which is not ideal for art. You want to spend as much time as possible so that you can kind of really flesh it out, kind of have some conceptual framework to it. So that was kind of the genesis of the space.
So this, what you studied was at uni?
At uni, yeah.
At uni. Is that a very niche, beg your pardon, very niche subject where you incorporate, you say, media into what you do? Is that very niche, or is that just part of the course as far as the arts are concerned?
It's not so niche, I think, out of Ghana. I think here we are still really strong in like very traditional ways of performing. So what people study here is like traditional theater.
Okay.
But because the world has advanced so much, so I mean, you look at videos from like China and stuff, they're using screens, they're using sensors, they're using all sorts of computer programming in the work. So instead of having maybe a traditional props or scenery, they're really incorporating different types of technology, both in theater and in film.
Okay.
So the course that I was studying was kind of pushing people to explore some of these alternative ways of staging productions. So not just like a normal stage and people standing there performing, or even like people have started using more screens in Ghana, but still very like a background.
Okay.
So things that are more interactive, so you can actually like use a Kinect camera, which is normally used for gaming, to be able to tell where performers are, and then you can link sensors and stuff to have the background respond to the performer, or even respond to like an audience member. So there's all this technology available.
That's very interesting. Is that like basically incorporating all your senses whilst you're at the theater?
Exactly.
Maybe somebody can even come and brush your arm. Okay. Now, talking about developing one's idea further, how important is it to have a space where you are able to conceptualize, I don't know, sit with yourself, sit with the ideas before you actually get into that production stage or even writing stage? Talk to us about that process.
Yeah, I mean, obviously every artist is a bit different in terms of their process, but what happens when you have space beforehand is you build out the world of what we call the world of the play. So there will be some things like the setting, or the both the historical setting or the time setting. So let's say I was going to do a play about set in the 50s, around the time, or early 60s, where Nkrumah has just come out of power, and there's a story that's set in Ghana in that time period. I could just do the story. But if I really understand the political context, the historical context, what were people going through, what would really have been in people's minds, I'll be able to understand what the characters are going through in a more realistic way. And then therefore, when I'm directing them, I can give more accurate kind of, well, accurate is not maybe the best word, but I can kind of tap into the emotional psyche of those people a little bit better than if I had just stayed on the surface. But also things like details, like what were they actually wearing? So you see, a lot of times people will struggle with historical plays because the costumes are not that accurate. So it's olden days, we just do a long dress. But depending on which decade or of which century, the dresses, yes, they are long, but there are little differences in terms of silhouette or the types of fabrics that would have been available. So if you are doing a play about an economic downturn, the fabrics the character are going to be wearing is going to be different than in a regular time period. People would have mended their clothes more as opposed to now. So you'll see maybe a patch on somebody's dress, or you'll see lighter fabrics. But if people are doing well economically, they'll dress differently, they'll eat differently, they'll carry themselves differently. And so it really has an impact on storytelling and therefore on emotion and this idea of authenticity, that people can really actually resonate, that this feels right for the time period that I'm trying to portray.
Now, opening up a space like Terra Alta, I'm very nosy, so I'm getting into your pockets a little bit, into the business side of things. For any budding womanpreneur that's looking to do something that's similar, was it a capital intensive venture? How does the day-to-day running go? Is it something that puts money into your pockets, or is it a passion project?
It has 100% been a passion project.
Okay.
It was very capital intensive. I was very blessed. Actually, the land is my grandmother's land.
Okay.
So that was a huge upfront settlement that was able to allow me to start in the way that I did. I did start small. I think sometimes people frown on taking your time and doing one thing at a time, but I think because I was much younger, I had the energy to do it. And we're actually at a point now where I'm trying to pivot a little bit in terms of the scale of what we were trying to do and take a little bit of a break. Because, yes, there has been more income, but from things like events would be more profitable. But because we're really trying to support artists, because I'm very passionate about theatre, and not just theatre, but I work across different media, so film, we've been doing VR projects, we've been doing a number of different things, and residencies. So really kind of developing, like we said, artists so that they have the time and the resources that they need, which are not always just financial, but like books to reference from, images to reference from. So in terms of the business side of it, that's something that really needs to be thought about, because it doesn't really make a lot of business sense in Ghana to have this type of work done, because abroad you would have a lot of concessions from the government, for instance, where they would give you a tax break, they would give you different incentives to make sure that you are, because you're taking care of a social need in a lot of different ways. But business structures and all of that, so this is like a period that we're in, kind of exploring what would really make sense for this type of space in Ghana, because it was modeled after a lot of programs that happen in different countries where there is a lot of government support and incentives. So there's an experiment going on now to see how we restructure the space.
Well, how do you assess then the arts industry then in Ghana? Would you say that we're progressing, are we regressing, or are we stagnant at this point?
I think that in terms of the artists have always been vibrant. But in terms of the business side of things, a lot of people have struggled and will end up having to rely on non-arts income sources to make the art work. So you'll have maybe a real estate model where you are, like we were doing, where you rely on rentals in order to support the artists, or you rely on ticket sales, which actually should not be the case. You should have some base amount of funding to make that work, ideally. But in cases where you don't have that funding, or you don't have those incentives, because even if you think about December in Ghana, who are people coming to see? It's the people, it's the shows. So when we think about tourism, we think about arts industry, we are really missing out. If you take a regular show that we do, we're dealing with carpenters, we're dealing with caterers, we're dealing with event spaces, we're dealing with parking attendants, we're dealing with all sorts of industries that have nothing to do with art. But we are the ones bringing in the people that will make it possible for those people to charge what they're charging.
That's right.
But then we get taxed heavily, because the tax rate is above 20%, which is more than VAT, which is kind of crazy if you think about how expensive it is to put something up.
Very, very expensive. And they know where to find you. They just hear your ghetto blaster and they're there. Trust me, I know. They're knocking on your door. And that's a very important conversation, because the arts does widen the economic scope. And thinking about it now, from the person that's going to be selling drinks and, like you said, parking attendants, the caterers, and all of that. But that seems to be missing in that conversation, how much more revenue the arts does rake in. What is your incentive to keep on going in a place where the arts, they're not bringing in the moolah? You know, everybody's in business to eat, to put something in their pocket.
Yeah, I think the way we tell stories as a people about ourselves, about where we are, about our nation, shapes our experience, our living experience, our lived experience. So if our stories and our storytellers are not in a good place, our nation is not going to be in a good place. Because you can put in as much policy, as much many measures as you want, but if we're not telling ourselves the right things and we're not understanding our context and where we are in the world, we're not going to move anywhere. So sometimes you'll see a lot of activity but no movement. And I think some of even the issues we're having around conflict, around different parts of the country, around development, around education, if the storytelling is focused on the wrong things, so if it's Western focused versus us focused,
right,
we're gonna always have a lot of problems from top to bottom, because people don't really believe it in their hearts that this is something that resonates with me. So even about trash, the stories we tell ourselves about rubbish and how dirty the city is, if we can change that, that's what will change people's attitude. There's no amount of billboards or activations that you do. If people don't have the correct story in their hearts and in their minds, things are not going to change. So for me, that's the driver.
I like what you said. A lot of, activity, but not so much movement. Well, the festive season is upon us. It is already the 2nd of December. What does Terra Alta look like when the festive season rolls around, aka Dirty December? Is it a very busy time? And what are some of the interesting things that you guys have up your sleeves?
Yeah, so our show that is coming up is on the 4th, so this Thursday actually.
Okay.
And it is an adaptation of Handel's Messiah, but with local instruments and with dancers. And using some multimedia elements as well. So that's happening this Thursday, 7 p.m. at Nubuke Foundation.
Okay, that's in East Legon.
In East Legon.
Nubuke Foundation.
Nubuke Foundation.
In East Legon. So wait, we're going to be, somebody will come and touch my arm during the play, or what's going
Somebody's going to pass very close to you.
Oh.
And there are going to be some surprises. So
I am intrigued.
Yes. I don't want to share too much, but it's a little bit experimental, so it will be a bit different than the Handel that people are used to. And that's the show that has Hallelujah Chorus, For Unto Us a Child is Born, for people who know that show. But it's a little bit of a spin, and we're excited about it. Yeah.
Interesting. So if you've been listening to what A4 has been saying and you're thinking, what is she talking about? And different media on Thursday, make your way to Nubuke in East Legon, and you can get a practical feel of what the arts really can be like when we infuse different elements. So you say local instruments, like what kind of instruments?
So we are focusing on the itumpan and seperwa at this moment.
Whomst?
Seperwa is the stringed instrument.
Oh.
It's like a 6-string. So Osai Kranchi at University of Ghana, Legon, he's a master in it. But this is one of his students who's playing.
Okay.
And then we have itumpan played by a guy called Moro, who's a really good percussionist. But we also have Edu Burks, who's an experimental percussionist. He uses a lot of samples and electronic drums instead of the regular set.
What's an electronic drum?
It's just a drum pad that has, so it's not it's linked up to a computer.
I'm going to see things on Thursday.
Please go and see things. Come and see things.
I think we're going to have some ballet in there.
There's some
I think
ballet.
one of our past womanpreneurs is going to be there. Loretta doing all kinds of...
Going to be there.
African ballet. Guys, you're going to want to make your way. And how much does it cost for us to get a feel of this very exciting performance?
Well, tickets are 180 cedis.
And
you have to add more. You can take your
have to add more
your
to
dates
this.
along with you.
Electronic drum
and
African ballet. immersive. Oh, come on. If you chat double crowd will come. But for now, it's 180 Nubuki, East Legon on Thursday, 7 p.m. sharp. And for projecting into the future, what are your hopes and dreams for Terra Alta and then also for the art scene in Ghana in general?
Yeah, we are developing a residency program at the moment. We've already had people come, which is just, again, a space where people can come and take some time on a specific project that they've already kind of conceived, and then we help them work on that. So hopefully in the next year, we'll be seeing what that looks like concretely. So it'll be space for people to actually come and stay and work on their stuff. And then for the art scene, I'm really hoping that regulatory wise, that I think some conversations have started already, and I'm really hoping that it bears fruit in terms of making it easier for artists to work, to do their own work, and to be taken more seriously.
Now, is that something that you're involved in, maybe on the back end, regulation, policy? Do you have any ties to that at the minute?
I have been involved with the Ghana Culture Forum, which has been doing a lot of advocacy, and there are a few other conversations happening. So yeah, we'll see where things go with all those things.
Fantastic. Yeah. I love what you do. It's not easy being what we call creative in this part of the world, giving all the limitations, but it's the passion that fuels the job. And you've been doing this for a while now. Others have packed their bags and they're out of here, but you're still here doing the Lord's work as we term it. Where can we find you on the socials?
On Instagram at Ifwa Sutherland. That's Ifwa with an EFUA Sutherland. Yeah.
And we can also find Terra Alta
at
on
Terra
the socials.
Alta_GH. Yeah.
At Terra Alta_GH. Go and have a peek today and see what is happening over on that side. Of course, you can play back this interview on YouTube, on Facebook as well. Ifwa, thank you so much for being our guest this morning on Womanpreneur. Very intrigued about all it is that you're doing. I want to hear all the electronic D&D and the electronic this. So on Thursday, I'll certainly be there. And what is the title of the performance or the play?
Messiah.
All right. All right. If you want to see all the wonderful interventions, media, multimedia, everything combined, but African ballet, what's the name of the guitar? Seprewa, all of that's going to be there on Thursday. Make your way to Nubuke, 7 p.m. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you.